Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to do port address translation. The last time we did network address translation, which means we are mapping one IP address to another IP address. We wanted to have this web server available on the internet. So what we did is we created a NAT address on this router 2. Okay, router 2, this router 2, this router 1. On one side. So this user on the router one side wants to have access to the web server. Okay, but since a private IP address cannot be routed on the internet, we have to do a one-to-one mapping on this router. So today it's going to be continuation of that one, but we're going to use port address translation. But before we use port address translation, let's just check the limitations of network address of the IP to IP mapping. Okay, so let's go into this router. Basically, before then, let's go to this user here, and we're going to do a telnet. Okay, telnet to this port 21.21.21.2. okay, on port 80, which is the web browser port. Okay, the HTTP port. So if I type enter, it shows open. So which means if I go into this router 2, and I do show IP NAT translations, I should see that effectively there was okay, I didn't clear the IP NAT translation. Anyways, we see two statements there, but actually it's the same thing. Okay, so on the outside is 21.21.21.2 port 80, that's the port we used, and on the inside is 172.16.20.2. okay, same port 80. Okay, so we said port address translation is different because we're going to be changing the port on the inside is going to be different from the port on the outside, and we statically define that. Okay, just the way we define the IP address is okay, different from the IP address on the outside. Okay, now let's talk about why we have to do that. Okay, already with the one-to-one IP address mapping, this we clearly see that if we map this IP of the web browser to the outside IP of the router, any other services on this LAN site cannot have access to the internet. Okay, that's a limitation. So we're going to use the port address translation as a means of resolving that one. Okay, so I'm going to go into this router 2, and I'm going to remove that statement. Show static. Okay, I'm going to remove this statement, copy, no, paste. Okay, now if you go back there, anyways, we're going to go just do the state. Okay, so now for port address translation, we're going to look the same. Going to look very, very similar. It's going to be IP NAT inside source static TCP. Okay, TCP for IP for the inside IP 172.16.20.2. okay, on port 80. So we're going to come in on port 80, and the outside IP for that is going to be 201.21.21.2 on port 8080. Okay, port 8080. Hit enter. Let's see what that looks like. Show run. Okay, so just wanted to be sure there's just one Latin statement right there. So we have IP NAT inside source static TCP 172. So what this statement means is that we're going to come from the outside on port 8080. We're going to hit this IP address, which is public IP, and on the inside it's going to be respond on port 80, but responding from this IP address. Okay, so and the importance of that is that we could use other ports for different IP addresses on the inside. Okay, unlike before where we just basically mapping one IP to IP, basically making impossible for the other IPs to on the same LAN to respond. So now we're going to test this statement and see how that works. When we come to this user one, we could go either to the browser or we just go to command prompt and let's go to command prompt, clear this one out, and then just do this and do, instead of 80 it's going to be 8080. Okay, let me just do something. If I type if I go on port 80, it's not going to respond. Okay, not responding because they don't know about that port. Okay, on the router. So but if I go 8080, it should respond. Okay, open. So what that means is that if I go to I have sorry, I had a call coming in. So anyways, if I go to this router 2, okay, we'll show show IP map translations, show IP map translations. Okay, so what you're going to see here is that now we're using port 8080 on the outside, okay, to access our web server. Okay, and the web server is still responding on port 80. That's what we said in the statement right here. Okay, web server still responds on port 80. And the good thing about it is that we could now have access to all the other services, depending if this one was working like SNMP, we'll be responding on port 25. So we could use port 25 for SNMP, we could use another port for, so any device inside here could respond on its own port, and we're still going to use the same public IP address. So that's a good thing about it. And so that's basically it for this video. I don't want to make it long. The next video is going to be about using you could have maybe a whole subnet on the inside using the same public IP address. Okay, so it's going to be an extension of this video, and you're going to see the possibilities of actually using a whole subnet on the inside to with the same public IP address. Okay, so if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and leave me a comment so I know how I'm doing. And thanks for watching. Talk to you next time.